All righty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going to do another little review here of some gameplay I picked up earlier this morning with the kid. And I'm going to, the start of this game, it did not look very good, but we ended up pulling out a win. So let's get started here. So first off, we're looking at the lineups. Kitakazi, Kazakh, Seal. Luckily, no CV, number of battleships. And we've got a mixed bag, 8s, 9s, 10s. So obviously, as we're looking where we're at, we're going to figure out where we're going to go. I'm always going to push out to a flank. If I don't have a cap to contest, I'm always going to push out to a flank and try to drive bad guys back towards the center of the map. The more I can keep them from getting out here to these flanks, the more my team can kind of encircle and cause problems. So we've got the sub is out in front of us. We're going to let him proceed, and I'm going to push out. The kid, of course, at this tier, at tier 8, is very powerful. You've got the heal, you've got smoke, you've got speed boost, you've got decent torpedoes, but you only get a single rack. And as we'll see, they can be a big difference if used properly. So again, we're pushing out here. We're keeping in mind what are our spot ranges on the enemy DDs that we may see. Kitakazi and Kazakh. Kazakh has very low detectability, slightly better than the kid. I think at 5.4. Kitakazi could be anything from like 6.2 down to possibly 5.8. He's going to be similar or a little bit worse. Kitakazi also has a high turn circle. His guns turn fairly quickly. He's a gunfighter, so we do want to be careful of that kind of stuff. We also have some radar, really just in the Cleveland. Outside of that, we don't have any others. So, but the Los Andes are very dangerous with their secondaries. Amagi can slap you pretty hard with his larger guns. Marseille has a reload booster, so just want to keep in mind. So I'm pushing out here, looking for the sub to spot some stuff, and I'm pushing to the outside. Amagi gets detected. You can see that on the mini-map with that orange aura that's around him. Kerr first gets spotted. This is telling us that something is pushing up, but also high detectabilities on these battleships can lead to that. So again, we're looking. There's a Utrecht. We pick him up. We're looking for possible torpedo launch, but we still have 18 seconds. The 4501 picks up both the Seal and the Kazakh middle. And while I would love to help him, I need to corral some of these guys back to the middle. The Utrecht turns away. He doesn't want any fight. And now I see the Bungo, the Soyuz are both slower targets and more likely to be hit with torpedoes. So I'm lining up here, and I think I shoot these back in that direction. So I do. So that's what we'll talk about first. The choice on going, I have this Bungo. He's pushing towards this island, and the setup would be to throw torpedoes at him here. Now the question is he going to continue to go here, or is he going to turn in and make a loop? We don't really know for sure. So I would prefer him to come along this angle to where I have this island between me and him, where he's not going to want to push up to this island because I'm here. So I'm going to throw torpedoes on this side in case he turns and goes that way. If he turns this way because he wants to go back to the middle and engage Amagi or Cherbourg, then he could possibly take torpedoes. If not, then he'll see those torpedoes coming that way, and he'll usually tend to stay either behind the island or he'll stay moving in that same direction. The Utrecht's moving away, Soyuz wants to push up. The 4501 is there, Kazakh somewhere in the middle, and Seal somewhere there, but the 4501 is extremely fast underwater, so I was fairly certain that he was going to die, but he hangs on for a while, so the Bungo pushes along the same track. So now we're watching our detectability at 5.8 here, this dashed blue line. It's getting fairly close. So we don't want to fall close within that. We want to be close enough to cause this guy's problems. This Bungo, Striker 002, actually dev strikes, meaning in one salvo, he blasts the Cherbourg completely, just detonates him off the map. So he's feeling pretty good. No one knows that I'm here yet. So this is an advantage as well. And now he looks to currently have just the Amagi and the 4501. And this is why I'm sitting here going, this is looking pretty rough. It's me, a tier 10, a tier 9, a tier 10, an 8, and another tier 10. Me, an Amagi, and this Kerr first way back here in the back, Massachusetts. This side is you know, pretty stacked, but this side is looking pretty rough. So this is where we want to say, nope, you can't come this way. I'm here. So what we're going to do is we're essentially going to set up. Now, initially I hesitate on popping my smoke because in order for me to sit in my smoke and shoot and farm, I need someone to see this target. Amagi concurrently does have line of sight, but the Soyuz and the Utrecht are here somewhere and he can't see them because of this island. So if I pop smoke, I may rob myself of my own chance to shoot, but at the same time, if I shoot from here, he's going to see me because my gun range being 12.1, he's definitely going to see me. And there may be some other targets that are out here, the Utrecht and the Soyuz, that are going to shoot at me. So what I want to do is I'm going to start shooting. I get my smoke to disperse, and it works out. Now, the other thing, too, is if the bungo doesn't fire, if the bungo fires close enough to me and the Amagi sees him, then I can see him for the 20 seconds. Even if he breaks line of sight. So what we're looking to try to do here is we're shooting into that superstructure area and to start fires. We want to get those fires started. We'll do some damage, but we want to get fires started. Now that I no longer have detectability, I do not want to stay here because this guy may bum rush me. He may just rush my smoke. And at that point, I don't have enough, you know, raw damage output to kill him fast enough before he kills me. Bounced off the edge of the map here. We want to get off of that as quickly as possible to keep our speed up. We're looking for the reload, but I'm still at 39 seconds. That's the failing in the kid. You only have the one launcher. It's a longer reload. I say longer. It's longer than you'd like it to be. The Soyuz is there in the open. He's not a real big threat to us. I was worried about where the bungo is. There he is pushing out the side. Kazakh is still there. 4501 has slipped past this whole screen of guys. And at this point now we're kind of on the run because the Utrecht's here. 4501 is here. Kazakh's middle and bungo's here. And he's real close to my detectability. So I need to give myself a little breathing room. 1 to 2 kilometers is where I'd like to have. I want just enough room where if I suddenly mess up, I can turn away and accelerate and move away from him. And as you can see, he's looking for me. He's doing a repair. You'll see the sparks on the ship, and he's looking for me to pop back up. So at this point, we're just gaining a little bit of separation, a little bit of distance, because what our job is now is to buy the opposite side of the map as much time as possible. Kazakh is there. I'd like to put a little pressure on him, but right now I'm just going to cause issues. So when I don't necessarily have an intended target for my torpedo spread, like bungo's at high angle moving away, Kazakh's moving away, Soyuz is outside of the torpedo range, Utrecht is outside torpedo range. I'm just going to throw a wide angle right down here in this area. Just a Hail Mary. If I get a torpedo, great. If I don't, it's something to concern the enemy. Bungo makes a very fast turn and just decides he doesn't want any part of me. He has no utility to see me. He doesn't have to fight me. This 4501 has slipped by. This Kurfürst is here. So currently, they're feeling pretty good. So it's at this point that I noticed that the 4501 has drugged most of these guys away and that the SEAL is over there solo against the Kurfürst. So what I notice is the bungo's guns are all facing away from me. So I'm going to take this time to get some free damage and fires because he can't do anything about me. I'm at 9.5. He's not secondary built, and his guns are going to take 15 to 20 seconds to get turned around. So I can get several salvos off. He'll get maybe these aft 2 turrets to shoot at me. But the other thing, too, is that if he's turning these turrets to me, pointing this way, he's not over here. So as soon as I go dark, he's now going to have to rotate his turrets back to the other side of his ship to shoot at another target, like Kurfürst. Or he may completely ignore me, shoot at Kurfürst, and I will just chew on him and get some free damage in. At the same time, we're coming out, seeing where we're at in relation to the rest of the map. One of the other things that will kind of give you it away and let them know if they're going to shoot at you is your priority target. If you have that as a skill, letting how many people are actually targeting you. So when he shifts to start bringing his guns to you, a targeting meter will pop up. So I was already moving this way I saw the seal near the cur first, and so I started moving this way to engage the seal because I cannot allow this sub to get in the backfield like this guy, the 4501, has. So I'm moving this way to locate this seal, because if he can get back here on the cap, kill this Goliath, I don't need him back here. He's too much of a detriment. And currently, the enemy team is not pushing my cap. They're down here chasing the 4501. He's doing his job. I'm going to go do my job, chase down this destroyer. So currently what I'm doing is I'm watching the minimap, and boop, there's the seal on the surface. We're going to engage him and drive him low. Keep in mind that you can still hit the destroyers or the subs at periscope height. So once he disappeared, that was it. Now, of course, at this point, he's dove deep, or deep enough that I can't see him. Now, he could continue along this way. He could turn into me. He could stop and reverse. I was going to predict that he was either going to turn into me or move for the cap zone. So along this line, depending on what his speed is, because I don't know how fast he is underwater, I start a line of depth charges moving to him, and then I start one kind of going towards the cap, because I assumed he was going to push for the cap zone. Later, this turns out to be correct. The 4501 is still over there causing problems. He finally runs out of air and has to surface. And now he's currently 3v1. But he has bought me time to do my job. Kazakh is in the middle, along with the Los Andes. And so now I have a new problem to contend with. So I'm going to throw torpedoes in the middle of the map. I see the Kazakh, but I don't necessarily want to give myself away yet. And I'm thinking about, am I going to go back and try to help the 4501? Where's the seal at? What exactly am I going to do? So I figured, number one is keep eyeballs on this Los Andes, and I need to farm a little bit of damage here and start getting some fires and stuff, because the Andes is setting up to park here and essentially put pressure on this entire line here while they're trying to fight these guys. So now what I need to do is put pressure on him so that he can't just sit there and get free damage. And the seal has disappeared, and I assume that he'll pop up and engage me when he gets ready. So now I'm going to start shooting at the Andes. Now, the Andes has extremely good secondaries, stupidly broken. We're going to go ahead and deploy smoke and start working this guy down if we can. Now, the Goliath fortunately kills Kazakh, which was another big threat to me. And now we have a battleship middle who's stuck against a kiting away Goliath and me here on this side. The 4501 is still down there causing problems, but he's dove, so he can't really do much for us except do what he's doing, which is cause problems. So currently we're in smoke. The Goliath can't see the Andes, and then the Andes, I think, fires or does something to get detected again. And so what we're looking for is just keep farming. We need us to keep setting fires on these guys. Some torpedoes going through there. My torpedoes are loaded, but with the Andes going backwards and forward, he has a really good acceleration. And so we want to try to put those in, keep him boxed in. So I put them where I think he may drive forward. We don't currently have line of sight, so we want to regain that for the Goliath and the other Andes and everybody else. So we can see now that he's backed himself into a corner. We're going to continue to engage. And we're going to expect to take some secondary fire. We can't take that forever, but we can take some. We start another fire. We just don't want his full broadside salvos on us. At this point, I noticed that this yellow bar with your mods, or with Tataro's map mod, says that this map is contested, meaning that the sub is here. His concealment detectability circle for the surface should be the same as mine. He has to be on the surface to capture the point. That means he's got to be behind this island. So put on the acceleration, and we're going to boost up here and locate the seal and get him off the board. And we're going to presume that he's as far away as possible, not just right around the corner, but he could be at any point here. But he can't see us. Now, he could have the surface detectability, so he may be able to spot roughly where we're at within a certain area, depending on how he's what equipment he has on there. But at some point, we know that we're going to spot him right along the edge of this corner because he's on the cap zone. And the Goliath just drove through his area, so he can't be down here. And I was over here, so he can't be down there. So, and there he is. So we put a salvo at him. We put a little damage. He dives. I shoot again, do a little bit more damage. And at this point, he only has two options. Reverse, forward. He could turn, but he'll still be in the same spot. So we're going to go ahead and start our string of depth charges early. And we're going to depth charge all the way to him and then through the location, because we're still going to get splash damage all the way through. And so here we start getting the hits and we get a kill. During that time, the enemy Los Andes pushed ours and died. So now we're back to being clear again. So at this point, looking over the map, everything's stabilized. But we are down on points, but no one's captured either of the points yet. So it's better than it was before. This group here is doing good work. They're putting a lot of pressure on here. Goliath's starting to push down, and I'm contemplating on what I'm going to do. At this point, typically what you're going to do is try to back up or assist any of your other guys. Obviously, random teams are random, but any assistance that you can provide to them to keep them alive longer means that you get to do your job. So we try to keep them alive so long as it won't get us hurt. So biggest deal is now control the middle. There's a lot of these guys here. We don't want them pushing through these gaps or finding cover here away from these guys and starting to set up defensive situations. So pushing down into here, looking for torp angles, gunfire, all that kind of stuff. This right here is Utrecht's plane, so that tells us that he's somewhere, and there he is over here. So keep that in mind when you see attack aircraft. They have to come in a straight line from the vessel that sent them. So if you see them coming this way, somewhere on a straight path away from them is going to be that deal. Unless it's a carrier, then they can send their planes from different directions. So again, we're pushing down here. We're looking at what targets we can engage. Obviously, getting fires. They put a big hit on the Amagi, but Amagi ends up killing Musashi. So now it's looking pretty rough. You got a Los Andes who's got pretty good health. Their Soyuz is half health. Their Andes is half health. That's who we want to be. It's not over yet. They're up in points. They've still got quite a bit of health. We don't have as much health. It's pretty dangerous. So here again, we're going to do a little shooting. His guns are not looking at us. And so we're essentially saying, hi, there's a destroyer here. You don't want to come in here. We see that the Utrecht is pushing the corner because of the line of aircraft here. You can use your AA to help, but he's bombing me, so I don't really care. And I'm not giving away any intelligence. He wasn't bombing the Goliath. So I pushed down here essentially to keep people from trying to get in these islands to get defensive. I want them to stay out here in open water and buy time for these guys to farm damage. So I see the Soyuz. He's at maximum range. He's reversing. And I think I was looking for the Los Andes. But it's crazy how quick he is. So at this point, we're going off of some intel from quite a while ago. So I pushed down here, was looking at the Soyuz, was looking for the Los Andes, and I was like, he's got to be right in here. Because if he was going to slow to a stop and continue to shoot as these guys clear these corners. So this is a very tall island. This island right here is this island. So this corner, if he stops here, these guys have to push out further and further and further in order to get angles on him. But of course you have Amagi, Bungo are all out here. So these guys are probably going to stop, and did stop, in order to shoot here and do this gunfight. So this Los Andes was looking for an opening and said, okay, I know there's a kid here, and there was a Goliath somewhere out here, somewhere. But he didn't know where we are exactly. So this guy was pushing. Well, I kept looking, and I didn't see him. So the only place he could be is behind this island. So what I do is I throw torps here, anticipating that he's moving this direction. So now at this point, it's what do? Do I bounce out open water? Do I continue to defend these islands? What do I do? Well, I want to try to keep this Goliath alive because he is doing damage. I need him alive. So what I want to do is I want to smoke him up so he can farm damage without being detected. So he can sit a little more open water, farm a little bit more damage, and I'm going to go out and spot for him. Because I was also worried about this Utrecht because I knew he kept throwing planes from somewhere out here. And I assumed that he was out here because that's the last place I'd seen his stuff. So there's the Los Andes, and look right there. Now, in this instance, you could start throwing gunfire at him, but I didn't want to give him any reason to maneuver. I wanted him to continue along that line. His guns are all facing, looking back along this line for a target to pop up. He can't see Goliath. There's no line of sight on him. He can't see me. And so he's looking for something to come out here along this angle to shoot at. So his guns are not looking at me. I don't want him to have any reason to stop doing exactly what he's doing right now, which is driving into this line of torpedoes. So I do not fire. Now, at the point that I know now he can't maneuver away from him, now I'm going to start my gunfire. And he takes 4 torpedoes for a ton of damage. I was really surprised that he didn't die right here. And you'll see in a minute just how close he was. So now at this point, it's very important that I keep this Goliath alive for as long as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoke him, because the circle of my smoke and the duration of my smoke is really nice. And this is going to allow him to shoot pretty much with impunity. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out here open water and try to spot stuff. Well, the Utrecht pushes in behind me. So this smoke ends up being very, very nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop around this and put pressure on this Utrecht to make sure he doesn't just sit in there. But as you see, the Goliath just shot, not detected. But no one has line of sight, even with this penalty. So now what I want to make sure here is I start to turn in, but make the decision to turn out because I don't know where the Andes had gone. And what I didn't want to do was find him right here at point blank range with his secondaries and his big guns. And if I turned in here, I would be committed to that fight, and the Utrecht is there. And I didn't want to take multiple fights. So I started to turn in, then stopped, turned out, and was going to come back out this way. Now we pick up the Andes again. We go ahead and start to engage. And we lose line of sight on him. We hit him a little bit, but at this point now, that Andes has to go. I cannot allow him to escape with that 1,000 hit points. He's so close to death. So I kind of cheat there. The Utrecht was spotted for just a minute, and I look to see how fast he's accelerating, or how fast he's closing with my torpedoes. You can use your gray line to kind of spot that and see where he's at. But now the focus is get the Andes because he's so low. Because if you let him get away, he's going to generate, 3,000-4,000 hit points back at least. I hit him a little bit. He's down to 476, and now we want to skid to a stop and finish this guy off. And boop, we get him. Wonderful. Taking that guy off of that flank right there is pivotal. These guys can now push with impunity because they have just the one bungo and no one is cutting off their angles. Here, I deliberate on throwing a set of torpedoes at the Utrecht, but if for some reason he killed the Goliath and pushed right through, the torpedoes are my last option for guaranteeing a kill. Even if I die, they're my last option to guarantee me a kill. But the Goliath tanks a lot of the shells. The Utrecht is not very heavily armored, and his guns are not very big, and he's just not doing the damage against the Goliath, and they're too close. And so, coupled with someone else hitting him in the butt, I end up finishing him off. And the rest of the game goes pretty much as expected, but this is not what I thought was going to happen. Now, one of the things that you have to be careful of is giving up before the game's actually over. So if you're looking at the start of the map, you're sitting there going, especially if you're focused on your side of the map and not looking at the other side, it looked pretty rough. And there were several times it still looked pretty rough. So you got to play the game all the way through to completion, because even if you are going to lose, now your requirements change. Now I'm going, okay, I want to get damage. I want to get some torpedoes. I need to get some kills. I need to make this worthwhile. And that's what we start doing. And so then a lot of times you'll turn out as if you just keep fighting, fight harder and smarter, you'll end up pulling out wins where you didn't necessarily think that you were going to. So it's a bit of a mental game. So this goes on. They chase the bungo down, and he dies. So one of the other things that I'll talk to you about is basically this information. You get the raw stats here. This is what you actually take home. This is the take home pay after taxes, after all the other stuff. So this is how much money we're taking home after all of our stuff. This is how much raw XP we had. This is how much free XP, and any achievements that you get will go here. So here's our ribbons, total damage. As we progress forward, then we can look at this, and this is where you rank within the deal. So obviously here is the base XP for each individual player on the team. You'll get a higher base XP for if you win versus if you lose. But then they rank you based on rank, or that's normally how it does it. You can go by kills, but typically you do it by XP. And then each of these little wreaths will tell you what kind of achievements these guys got. Now, the detailed report is where we start to get a lot of information from. So this is main battery. We had 148 shots fired. Shells fired. 249. This must be 148 hits for 33,154 damage. Torpedoes, we launched 25. We only hit 4 for 44,000. Depth charges, we dumped 40. We got 4 for 5,700. Other fires, we had 4 fires for 25,000 damage and flooding. So if you look here, the raw hits that I got were 33,000 damage, and my fires were almost as much. And this is why it's very important to start fires. But again, we add 4 torpedo hits. We only fired 25, but we only got 4 hits. That's 44,000 damage from 4 torpedoes. Then 33,000 raw damage from the explosives, and then another 25,000 damage from the fires that were on there. So, defense is fine. Then we got another 21,000 spotting damage. This does not go into your overall damage meter. It's just another deal. Potential damage, this is how much damage I could have taken had I taken the full damage, 290,000. But obviously we took less than 300. Distance, and then this has this is always busted because of the sidebars, but anyway, this tells you how much damage and if you sunk the enemy vessel. The final part will be for credits and XP, and this can be a little bit confusing too. All these, and they do it for FOMO, without premium, with premium. So without the premium, I would have only generated a final deal of 380,000 credits. With premium, I got 599,000. So received for the battle 301, with the premium 452, modifiers 135, modifiers 203. Spent was the same amount. So this was to rearm the boat and repair damage. So obviously you can see a good chunk of change more if we have that, and another 2,000 XP and another 2,000 XP for free. Plus Commander XP went up quite a bit, by about double. So one of the biggest deals you can spend money on is typically going to be a premium account if you're going to spend money and if you're going to play all the time. So anyway, this has been a walkthrough of this engagement. I thought it was a pretty good one, and one that showcases, hey, even though it looks grim, keep fighting and be ready to move, be ready and be looking for those opportunities to do damage, deal fires, throw torpedoes, help your friends stay alive so that you can do your job. But don't over leverage yourself to save your randoms. So, all right. Well, I will catch you guys next time. Thanks.